Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's episode, we're going to be watching more of that video we started yesterday, huh? Either way, I have a great, video planned for us, and hey, at least I'm earlier than usual. Not back to my normal schedule, but I will do it eventually. Either way, folks, let's go to share screen as usual. Let's look at some Indiegogos and Kickstarters before we do anything else. So let's get into this, huh? Here we have basically, barbaric adventures, folks. Let's jump to the synopsis of this book, what it's about and what's in it. Empire Comics presents Barbaric Adventures 1, the most anticipated comic magazine of 2026. It's a 64-page square-bound magazine format, 8x5x11, black and white with tonal rendering and bursting at the seams with action. Barbaric Adventures magazine is a throwback to the 1970s and black and white magazines like Savage Tales. This first issue includes stories by Aaron Lopresti, David Williams, and Dan Lawless, as well as contributions by Gary Martin and a few more surprises. Aaron Lopresti debuts his new title, Primal Zone, the story of a reluctant hero cast into an interdimensional world of dinosaurs and cavemen. David Williams introduces us to the story of a young medieval knight. And his story sounds good, folks. David Williams' story. Either way, the story of a young medieval knight who battles a horde of demons on a quest to become a true warrior. Then we have Dan Lawless, who takes us to a futuristic Mars where a high-tech society has fallen into savage chaos, and one man must lead a rebellion to defeat the corrupt powers that have seized control. Then we have Gary Martin, folks, who also contributes to this project, as well as a bonus preview story by Aaron Lopresti again. The stories and art by this talented group is sure to captivate and excite, bringing back fond memories of when Sword and Sorcery magazines ruled the newsstands. Either way, here's the Aaron Lopresti cover. Not bad, folks. By the way, you can also back these covers individually for $25 each, folks. That's a good price because you're getting more than, it's a 64 square bound pages, folks, so I think it's pretty good. Either way, here is basically the David Williams cover with his knight, who's basically on a quest, and looks pretty good. It looks like a classic sword and sorcery cover. You have, basically adventure and, dungeon crawling and, battling monsters. Then we have the Dan Lawless cover, which is basically, as I've said before, it looks like it's basically Conan on Mars. You can see a figure in it, folks. It looks very much like Conan, battling monkey-looking men, folks. But he has a ray gun, and it just gives off a science fiction, feel as well. Then we have a special guest artist, Joe Josco, with his Barbarian Maiden cover, folks, where she's battling yetis up in the mountains. As I said before, folks, you can back these covers for $25. That was, Barbarian Adventures, folks. Go check it out up on Indiegogo and go back it. Now let's go over here to, Atheos, folks. Let's get into this game now as well. Explore, upgrade, survive. Humanity's last hope lies beyond the stars. After decades of war, Earth is a toxic wasteland. The distant world of Atheos, 10 light years away, may be humanity's salvation. But only an artificial explorer can survive the journey. You play as Kara, an autonomous synthetic AI aboard the mothership Elysium. Years of orbital study are cut short when a massive energy surge cripples the ship. With damaged thrusters and failing communication systems, you must descend to Atheos where survival becomes your only mission. Beneath the planet's crust stirs Zyrak, a colossal war construct the Nizari. Detecting your arrival, he scattered unstable energy cores to sabotage Elysium and stop humanity's foothold. Kara will not retreat. She must destroy the cores, restore Elysium, and confront Zyrak. Humanity's future depends on stopping the Machine Titan before Atheos is lost. You can back... Let me try that again, folks. You can back Atheos for $12, okay? I said you can balk. I sound like a chicken. Either way, $12, folks. You can back the game ROM. It'll be downloaded to your computer, and you can play Atheos. Not bad. I think it also includes a digital manual, by the way, folks. So that's pretty good. But if you want to have a physical copy of Atheos, folks, you can back it for $40. And have it shipped to you, folks. I think it will also come with a digital manual as well, folks. But if that's not enough for you, then there's the $60 and the $99 perk. Both perks will net you a physical copy of the game in a cartridge, folks, a physical box to keep the game in, and, well, an actual physical manual. Both perks also include maybe a digital manual, but they also include some digital swag and items downloaded to your computer as well, folks. Either way, that's pretty good. Think about backing Atheos up on Indiegogo, folks. By the way, folks, we have 12 people watching. That's pretty good. Now, let's get back to this video, folks, and get back to listening to it and stuff like that. And continue trying now. By the way, please share out this live stream, folks, once again. But here we go.
Anymore, but I am going to hold the screen here because we're probably going to refer back to this. In fact, we might just hold it here. Like I said, we put a little highlighter on this part. Small looking human alien looking grays, fetus grays. This is going to kind of take us into the next section where we're going to hear from Jason Georgiani. This is from an older podcast when he was on Danny Jones. And his theory here, I think, is really interesting. And I've never really heard anyone else speak about it. Okay. Before we do this, let me just catch up on a couple of super chats here. If you don't like hearing chats, go get a drink, go fill up your glass, get some tap water, and then come back and get comfortable. John Anthony gifted 10 memberships. John, thank you very much. You are a legend, sir. I appreciate it. Cosmo, biscuits and gravy. Not yet. I've been getting looked after with a bit more than biscuits and gravy. I got a tomahawk cooked for me last night. It was delicious. Tom Rudd with 7 months says, yes, finally. It's been a minute since I called live. Damn, I've missed you in the Weirdo family. I really hope I can make it to Contact next year. Me too, brother. Me too. Thank you for the 7 months. Dave Bryson says, yes, I'm glad you asked. She's my mum. Ask away. Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Ethan with 10 months says, so glad you got to experience the land of the free before the tiny hat takeover. Damn, 10 months went by too fast. Yep. I am lucky. Hopefully that doesn't actually happen, but apparently it might be. We'll see. Sticks and Stones with 10 months says, Gemini says she's a reporter named Melissa Long. All right, thank you. Josh, I don't know if you've looked into Timothy Alberino's work. He was on Joe Rogan recently. It'd be interesting if you cover that one day. I have. He's very interesting, although he reminds me of like Zorro. It's like, you know, those charts of like chaotic good and like neutral evil and all those kind of things. He's like chaotic good. It's like he's a musketeer or something, and he's like, you know, steals from the rich to give to the poor or something. I don't know. Get this weird vibe from that guy. I don't know what it is. Probably me. I'm the problem. Sticks and Stones says, I dug deeper. It's more likely to be Linda Moulton Howe. I don't think that looked like Linda Moulton Howe, but I could be wrong. It is a while ago. Dave Bryson gifted a membership. Thank you, Dave. Toxic Fart says, if that host lady and Danny Sheehan met, it'd be Love It Hair Sight. Oh, Toxic Fart. That is not some of your best work, my friend. That's not from the top shelf of what you've got. I want to see you do a bit better next time. Thank you for the super chat, though. Dave Bryson says, God keeps pausing the stream, my man. You should say amen. Amen to that. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into the next section here. We're going to watch about 10 minutes of this one. It gets straight into it. I'm curious if anyone's ever heard this theory before.
I'm going to tell you a story about humanity.
Sorry, folks, commercial. Let me get back to the actual stream now, huh? Mm-hmm.
You can't. It's paused. I know. Fantastic. I was hoping that would stop, but it hasn't.
Mengele surgically altered some children to go in that thing, and
progeria
it was
children.
remote controlled here.
Progeria children. Their heads get all swollen up, and they look.
Asked a lot of people about it, and no one.
I'm rewinding a bit because they're talking about the Roswell crash, okay, and it actually being something akin to or progeria children. This is where we're going with the show.
Seems to buy into it, but I know you're familiar with it. Basically, the idea is that there was
the evidence is very good.
Mengele surgically altered some children to go in that thing, and it was remote controlled here.
Progeria children. Their heads get all swollen up, and they look old, even though they're they're neotenous looking, but they look old at the same time. Their heads get all swollen.
And there was an EG&G engineer who told Annie this, and she goes, why wouldn't you guys make this public if you found out that this was Russian, Stalin flown or Nazi stuff? Like, it would make them look terrible on the world stage. And he said the reason we didn't let it out is because
we continued the research. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're going to keep listening to more of this, but just in case anyone doesn't know like what progeria is, it's a super rare genetic disease. It's like a gene mutation, okay, and it basically it makes children age a lot quicker in their body, but not necessarily like their mind. Like, they're still young children, but they begin to get this kind of like sort of aged skin, and obviously their head gets really big. And obviously this is interesting because, obviously, I want to say this as respectfully as possible, you can kind of see the similarity, right? That's all I'll say there, because I do want to be respectful. But what's interesting about this, for a couple of reasons, right? First of all, not just the visual similarity, but this gene mutation is not something that is like genetically passed on. It's something that can just happen randomly. And it says, so I just asked ChatGPT, how does this gene mutation occur? And it says it normally occurs spontaneously in a sperm, egg, or very early embryo, not because either parent carries it, which is weird, right? Like, just something that just happens randomly. And look, maybe it is, but like, what if there is a really strange reason for it? And again, I just want to remind you guys, this is a thought experiment and just considering alternative theories here. But why I find that interesting is because I knew someone personally who experienced some kind of very strange phantom pregnancy thing happen. And I really trust this person. And he told me that his wife was pregnant, and she had this like crazy, horrible dream where she woke up screaming about these things taking her baby. And then she just didn't have a baby in her anymore. And obviously that type of experience is littered throughout like ufology. Like, that is a thing, that people are pregnant, then their babies disappear. It makes me wonder, in relation to this, like, is this something that happens like before the baby gets taken, but the baby got left behind? These are the kind of things that go through my head. Was there some kind of interference with the baby? And then when if it doesn't get taken and the baby's born, they have progeria. Again, I'm spitballing here, but these are the things that I think about. Anyway, let's keep going, because he really starts to cook here.
So where is this all coming? The point of departure was our conversation about the deep state. And
yes,
if there's an entity, as Greer says, and here I agree with him, that's more powerful than all the governments of the world. How did it start? Where did it start? It started here. And started here because, okay, now, all right, here gets a little bit mind-boggling again. On the one hand, we've imported these thousands of Nazis, and we're engaging them in, let's just say, highly ethically dubious projects, which requires what? It requires a massive state security and classification apparatus to be put in place, right? Which is on.
Guy's not talking for a moment, huh? I mean, the video is still playing, folks. Might as well entertain you till this guy starts.
Why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? Don't worry, people. I'm here to the rescue. I caught it before you guys did. And I'm fixing it right now. Let's keep going.
State security and classification apparatus to be put in place, right? Which is unconstitutional, according to our Constitution. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. There was that thing, the Bill of Rights, right? So on the one hand, we're bringing all this technical expertise, and the projects they're working on were things they were doing in concentration camps. So we need classification for that. On the other hand, this saucer crashes, and it looks weird. We don't know what it is. Maybe it's alien. We don't know what. but it's definitely a threat to national security.
Of
And
course.
moreover, the thing crashed next to our only nuclear base at the time. And it's got.
That's interesting as well. Like the whole, unlucky, Jason, you got a bad pause. It's interesting, we always talk about the idea that it crashed near the nuclear base, and obviously there is this like ongoing connection between the two things, UFOs and nukes. But like I sort of talked about the other day, this is often talked about, the UFO topic and propulsion, as like a Manhattan Project 2.0. What if it crashed near the White Sands test range because it was being tested there? Like it was a test flight of a deep state Nazi transplant secret space program anti-gravitic propulsion test. Okay, I threw in as many words as I could there to cover my bases, so you know exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Do people say that very often, that it didn't come from anywhere else? It crashed there because that's basically where it took off from. I don't know. What do we think about that one?
And it's got maybe some deformed children in it. And it's got all this super advanced technology, but still stuff we can understand that we were already working on. So you also need security classification for that. So here we have the National Security Act of 1947, which effectively creates the deep state, right? But let me, okay, so all right, I'll finish this point and then I'll go back to talking about the saucer as an engineering design and where it came from. This deep state was already so autonomous from the civilian government of the United States, including our Defense Department, that when von Braun's team was working on the early rockets, the adaptation of the V-2 into a ballistic missile in the 1950s in Texas.
This woman in Kansas City searched her name and found $6.1 million in unclaimed money. Like, what?
Wait, you don't know about unclaimed money? This is something everybody should know about. The government may owe you money, and you can go and search your name on
The
Texas.
Pentagon officials found
Texas.
out that
Note.
the Germans were taking classified information to the border and meeting with Nazi officials coming from Argentina and Chile and Paraguay, meeting them in border towns in Mexico, right on the Texas border, and giving them classified information from inside of our programs.
Danny Jones is the only one who believes that schizophrenic theory. Why do you think it's a schizophrenic theory? I think it's an interesting theory. Like, what does that mean? It means the Germans, prior to World War II, were experimenting on humans and children, but like, that's not really a far-fetched thing to say, because we know that like MK Ultra was also a continued experiment that came from Germany. So to suggest that, and also what's interesting is that we hear that like psionic operators, you need people with these like special abilities, highly developed and tuned abilities to tap into and pilot these craft. And also we hear that like often children, right? We like, the whole like Montauk project, like children seem to be like the most malleable and like the best to kind of instill this programming in early for whatever reason. So the idea that the Germans who were doing MK Ultra were also experimenting on children to pilot craft, which we're already told like psionic piloting is a thing. Like, I don't think that that's actually that far-fetched, to be honest. Like, again, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but like it's a pretty interesting theory, I think. And also like, what is progeria? Sorry to kind of cut him off here, but like, it's this like advanced aging thing. It makes you like age quicker. Like, I don't know, are they trying to like accelerate something in your brain that like pumps out these like what we would call a psionic ability? You know what I mean? Like, are they trying to like fast track the growth in them? Like, I'm completely spitballing here, but these are the kind of things that come to my mind when we discuss this topic. I don't actually think it's a schizophrenic theory. Doesn't mean I believe it, but I'm here for it.
So they confronted the German scientists about this, right? They were going to like chastise them, whatever. I don't know. What could they do? Right. Revoke their clearances? Well, who's going to build this shit, right? But they get on their case about it. Guess what the next thing that happens is, oops, the Germans misdirected their missiles and they landed in Mexico.
Gotcha, Brandon.
They shot some ballistic missiles into Mexico as a way to say to the Pentagon, don't fuck with us. You fuck with us again, we'll start a war with Mexico. So already by the 1950s, they had their hands on the balls of the U.S. government to that extent.
You fuck with us again, we'll put some of our Hanabu Diglocker crafts over your White House. Then we'll see who Big Daddy is, huh? Maybe that happened a couple of years later.
This is why you have Eisenhower coming out and making that statement as he leaves office, warning about the military-industrial complex that's gotten out of hand and they're a threat to our democratic society, et cetera, because he knew this stuff. And I'm convinced the main reason, now Kennedy made a lot of enemies for a lot of reasons. The Kennedy brothers did, because they were, engaged in.
Come on now, Josh, my cousin has one of those waterheads. Is your cousin a gray? Do you call him that? Surely not.
Prosecuting the mafia. And, there was the whole Cuban angle with the Bay of Pigs fiasco.
Yep.
But I'm convinced that the main reason that JFK was killed is that Eisenhower handed this information off to him.
The UFO stuff.
The whole deep state problem.
Yeah.
And said to him, listen, man, you have to get this under control because these people pose an existential risk to our Constitution and our way of life. And Kennedy was going to shut them down. And even after he was executed, his brother would have pursued the same policy. So they were both taken out. And I've heard RFK on record in interviews say that he believes that his father was killed by a Lockheed contractor, specifically a Lockheed contractor. Now, why would a Lockheed contractor assassinate Robert Kennedy? There's only one explanation you can come up with for that.
Danny Jones, bro. His face there was amazing. He's got no idea why. And fair play. I wouldn't chime in either. Just let the guest keep going. Don't ask me questions. Keep going.
Whoa.
Now, this is the place to go back to the saucers. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Just let him cook.
Lockheed Martin used to be called Martin Aircraft.
You got that one. Oh, God, video pause. That's karma for teasing Danny Jones. If I didn't pause it to tease Danny Jones, I wouldn't have looked like a fool on my own show. In front of all my friends. Embarrassed in front of all my friends. Okay, we're rewinding a little bit.
Lockheed Martin used to be called Martin Aircraft.
Yeah.
In 1953, there were all these stories that came out in mainstream news publications about how these aerospace, they were called aircraft companies in those days. These aircraft companies have developed the G engine, and they're about to roll off the assembly line craft that can defy gravity and get you like.
What? Video paused? I didn't even touch anything. Dude, the Pine Gap pigeons are here.
How would you spend today if tomorrow was the rapture? In his book, Ready for the Rapture, Joseph shows us the life we are called to live in these end times. Get your copy for a gift of any amount and for $75.
And swarming, and I do apologize, people. Thank you for bearing with me during amateur hour tonight. Something is trying to embarrass me in front of all of my internet friends. And it's not fair. Okay, we're going again.
Lockheed Martin used to be called Martin Aircraft.
Yeah.
In 1953,
Pigeons in the chat are crazy.
There were all these stories that came out in mainstream news publications about how these aerospace, they were called aircraft companies in those days. These aircraft companies have developed the G engine, and they're about to roll off the assembly line craft that can defy gravity and get you like from New York to Australia in an hour. There were all these stories about this stuff. And they quoted the chairman of Martin Aircraft, Lear, Convair, bunch of companies, handful of companies. And the only one of those that's still active in the The defense industrial scene is Martin Aircraft, which became Lockheed. Okay.
That was a drone, Mickey. Thank you.
And then by 1955 or so, the story disappears. The story disappears.
Like it
and
always
it's at the
does.
same time between 53 and 55 where these chairmen of these aeronautical engineering companies are making these statements that you have physicists holding conferences about cracking gravity.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So the United States cracked gravity circa 1955.
Right.
Townsend Brown was also
Townsend
developing,
Brown, yeah.
you know, this polarization effect.
Bryce DeWitt, Lewis Whitten.
Yes, and
or Ed Whitten.
The other company that has some of this tech is Northrop, which designed the B-2 bomber.
Right.
Which some people say the B-2 is a reference to the Brown-Byfield effect.
Right.
That can basically
Interesting.
augment the
thought
propulsion
about
of an
that.
aircraft by lowering the effect of gravity on the aircraft.
Yeah, with ion wind. And
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And so by 1955, they figured this shit out.
Mm-hmm. And then it went black.
Now, let me ask you something. If we're looking at Kevlar, Velcro, night vision, lasers, transistors, and we see that in all these areas, Nazi Germany was about a decade ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we cracked electrogravitics in 1955. When did they crack it? There are reports that, okay, so there was a think tank in Prague under the direction of General Hans Kammler. It was a Nazi scientific working group.
Friend of the show.
And I think it was based in Prague because they were collaborating with the Italians on this. The Italians were a junior partner, and they wanted a country that was sort of nominally not Germany, right?
Mhm.
Basically under Nazi control. And there are people who claim that Otto Skorzeny, remember Otto Skorzeny?
Yeah.
He came to the facility in Prague in 1944, toward the war's end. And he saw that the scientists working under General Kammler had developed a circular disc-shaped airframe that was tremendously aerodynamic in its performance. And it had a number of interesting features to it. One is it had these vents that suction the boundary layer. It's called suctioning the boundary layer, where,
Right.
you know, air resistance develops around the edges of any airframe, like an airplane or anything that has sharp edges to it.
Mhm.
And so, first of all, by making a saucer-shaped craft, you're already reducing air resistance. Then they had suction vents that would suck in the boundary layer and redirect that airflow into the propulsion system. They also developed a kind of metal that was perforated. They called it Luftschwamm, flying foam. And it was a special kind of metal that had lots of tiny holes in it that would also allow air to pass through. It was a very light metal, which further reduced air resistance. The same think tank, the Kammler staff in Prague, was working on this 9 to 12 foot tall acorn-shaped or bell-shaped reactor. It was a
Nazi bell.
Yes, it was a
everyone's favorite UFO, the Nazi Bell, also known as Die Glocke. Suctioning the boundary layer, I see. Yes, Fawn. Why didn't we think of that earlier to make a UFO? We don't need to worry about anti-gravity. We just needs an air intake and a bit of a redirection. Can't believe we didn't figure it out sooner.
mercury thorium reactor whose purpose was to generate more energy than is put into it. It was constantly powered by AC energy with big cables and intermittently shocked with direct current. And it would counter-rotate drums filled with mercury and thorium isotope inside of the shell of this device. And what they realized in the Kammler Stab was we could take this thing and put it inside the saucer. Originally, the saucers were powered by rotating jets.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could take this magnificently aerodynamic airframe and take this reactor and put it inside it as a power source. And there's your electrogravitic saucer, invented in Nazi Germany, 1944-45. We cracked the same engineering problems and propulsion issues in 1955.
All right, stop talking again, huh, folks? Sorry about that. He'll be back in a moment. Sorry about that, folks. All I can do is basically just take a look around.
We're literally at the last like 30 seconds of this clip as well. We nearly made it.
Can't print a super large model because your printer size isn't big enough? Just enter a text description and it automatically generates a 3D model. Enter editing mode for inspection, then proceed with segmentation. System also intelligently splits the structure, turning a large model into printable smaller parts. Even oversized models can be 3D printed directly.
And then
Wasn't it? That's not it. I'm so sorry, people. Amateur hour. It's jumping. Okay, we're just going to go to
9 to 12 foot
Okay, we're going from here. I'm
tall,
sorry.
acorn shaped or bell shaped
My hands are off.
reactor. It was
the
a
Nazi bell.
Yes, it was a mercury thorium reactor whose purpose was to generate more energy than is put into it. It was constantly powered by AC energy with big cables and intermittently shocked with direct current. And it would rotate, counter-rotate. Drums filled with mercury and thorium isotope inside of the shell of this device. And what they realized in the Kammlerstab was we could take this thing and put it inside the saucer. Originally, the saucers were powered by rotating jets.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could take this magnificently aerodynamic airframe and take this reactor and put it inside it as a power source. And there's your electrogravitic saucer, invented in Nazi Germany, 1944-45. We cracked the same engineering problems and propulsion issues in 1955. So what does that tell you about all the rest of the stuff that was discovered in Roswell? It fits the pattern of the Nazis cracking this a decade earlier than we were there, scientifically and technologically. And by the time we were there in 55, this deep state run by Nazis already had its hand around the balls of the civilian government of the United States and had already set up the national security state to sequester this information.
The Nazis were already cupping the balls of the national security state by that time. Incredible analogy there from Jason Giorgiani. That is him on Danny Jones. Again, Suki did forget to add the links for today's show before we went live, but I will make sure we add them in, but I'm sure you'd be able to find it. Danny Jones, Jason Giorgiani. So interesting links there between pre-World War II German alleged technology and experiments on gravitic propulsion and potentially humans. And the reason why I do cling to that a little bit is because, you know, we know about MK Ultra. That is a psychological human experiment, but I'm sure there were physical ones too. And it's interesting when we hear the connection today to psionics. You know, these people need to be molded ideally as young as possible to develop these abilities. Some people are gifted with them, others not so much. I think this is a really interesting path. And where we're going to go next, also as well, I actually just want to highlight this. This is for anyone who doesn't know or has never seen like a picture of Die Glocke. I guess, you know, it's something like this. Can you guys even see? Yeah, just making sure it's not frozen again. Basically like a bell-shaped thing. And also, you know, looks very much similar to what was seen in Kecksburg, the Kecksburg UFO crash. It's like an acorn bell-shaped thing. But it's interesting that here, if you listen to what Giorgiani just said, he didn't really describe it so much as a craft itself, but as a like some kind of power source. Like it's the thing that makes it go, right? And this isn't exactly, but it's just something that I noticed. Like if you scaled that thing down, and obviously these are just like literal napkin blueprints, but this is Bob Lazar sketching the sports model. And I did think it was kind of interesting, like these little like reactor, these little, I think he did say these, he called these bits here like the gravity amplifiers. Can you guys still see? Yes, I'm so paranoid now. I keep thinking about it every 3 seconds. But these like little drums here, you know, obviously they're not totally an acorn shape, probably nothing. But I just wanted to show that because it is one of the things that I thought about when I was hearing him talk about the fact that it's a power source if you scaled it down. Now, aside from the Kecksburg incident, we're going to watch 5 minutes of another clip that if you were live with us on Twitch the other night, we actually watched this full video. We're not watching the full video. We're just going to watch a 5-minute excerpt from it. This is another Eyes on Cinema video of a sighting in Stephenville, Texas. Remember I said Texas. Remember Texas? Jason Georgiani was just talking about it. Texas is significant. And this is the account of someone who saw up close a giant bright red bell-shaped object with plasma going around it. This is a crazy story. I couldn't believe I'd never even heard of this. This is from 2008, Stephenville in Texas. Yeah, you can't hear it. Fantastic. Give me 1 second, people. I'm sorry.
Day 1, month 3, month 6, forever. These 4 milestones represent my journey from balding to full head of hair. A transformation so dramatic that friends started asking if I was wearing a hairpiece.
What's her name? What's her name? Sorry,
Claudette Odom.
Claudette
Yeah,
Odom.
not her. We're not listening to Claudette.
It was definitely
This
an
guy.
unidentified flying object. It came from back off from the west, back off out in this direction, kind of the southwest a little bit, and it came across the area at about 2,000 feet. It was bright red, kind of an oval shaped object. It made no noise at all. The thing was as big as my house. Wow. And about 2,000 feet away and hovering in the air at a very slow rate of speed.
She related to Kyle Odom? I thought that too.
Another one appeared back behind it. And they were pretty much identical. They were extremely bright, extremely red. It was the reddest thing I've ever seen in the sky. It probably 2,000 feet away and about 2,000 feet up. Then it was large enough that I couldn't cover it with my thumb at that distance. And if you see anything at 2,000 feet away from you and stick your thumb up, you can cover a house with your thumb at that distance. This thing was as big as my house. That's what I'm trying to tell you. This thing was as big or larger than my house.
I'm trying to get through your head. This thing's as big as my house. A thumb. That is quite big. Put your thumb up and take a look and imagine seeing something that big in the sky. I might sound crazy, dude, but ask yourself, if the bad guys didn't win, why is the world so evil? No, so you don't sound crazy. You sound like someone who's just begun to woken up and probably ask the question that many people in the chat have asked already. I think we've all been there, my friend. Yep, it's the age-old question of when you start to go, hang on a second, what the fuck is going on? Yep, welcome. Take a seat. Get comfortable.
There were 2 of them. They were perfectly silent. They came across at an angle, cutting directly across the wind. We had about a 30-mile-an-hour wind that evening, which was blowing right out of the north. It was sitting right on 32 degrees at the time. And these things seemed to pay no attention to the wind at all. That was buffeting around that night. For them to be going at such a slow rate of speed and cutting directly across the wind like that just stuck out like a sore thumb.
Now, you said that its general direction was headed to the airport?
No, the airport's right off over here. It was at a different angle. It wasn't headed straight toward the airport. It was headed more of an angle across this way. It didn't seem to even know the airport was there. From my position over here, I would see aircraft coming in to the airport all the time, and you see the angle they come in, and you see them, and you can identify them as aircraft quite easily from this distance. It's literally only a few blocks away to the airport. So these aircraft, some of the small aircraft in this area.
We got a chat from Miska Visatumbenj. I can't even really say it. It says, hey, viewers, steamboat.com. Maybe I'll check it out myself, folks. Like that. Sorry about my voice, folks. I seem to be a bit tired right now. Sorry about that. So let's get back to the drawing, huh?
They come in fairly low in this area, and they're easily identified as aircraft.
Right.
These were easily identified as not aircraft, and the huge size of them, they were rather bell-shaped. I don't want to incite that this was something other than it was, because it's unidentified. But if we looked at the old German bell from the World War II, then it looked almost identical to a bell, and it had an area around the bottom. There was something around the bottom of it, everything, but you couldn't tell what it was. It looked kind of like plasma around the.
There it is. The guy from Texas who's most definitely too drunk to fish. This is the kind of guy that I don't think Dr. Phil, also known as Dr. Traunch, can we see him in the chat, please, doesn't want you listening to. Unfortunately. Why is that? I don't know. But again, I find listening to this guy with one of the greatest accents of all time far more credible. And I don't feel like I'm being fucked with.
Day 1, month 3, month 6, forever. These 4 milestones represent my journey from
You know what I mean? At the, like, even if he's lying, it kind of doesn't matter because he's just like a random guy. But the fact that, like, when people from like the government intelligence agencies are telling it to you, and you're forced to run it through this like integrity truth processor, even before you get the answer, that's already like low-key psychologically damaging, because you're meant to be the people who like protect and like look after us, and we're meant to trust you. But when you tell me stuff before I even like consider it, I'm running it through a filter of like, am I being manipulated? Is this thing trying to fool me and fuck with my mind? And at the same time, it's the agencies that are meant to protect us and serve us. That's like literally like a Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean? That's like a toxic relationship 101.
Guy's not talking again, folks. I'm trying to draw here. Distracting me by not talking anything.
Video paused. Yep. Yes. Bit of my soul dies every single time. I don't know why this has never happened in the history of this channel until tonight. We have some Florida strain pigeons lurking around.
Later, when I looked at the German bell and on the internet, then it looked like the spitting image of it.
Wow.
Everything. Only it was larger. It was as large as my house. It was larger than what was shown on the internet, the old bell from there, everything. This thing was probably several times larger.
So let me ask you, before this incident occurred, did you believe in UFOs?
Well, unidentified objects, yeah, maybe everything. I've seen unidentified objects before, but nothing like this. I've seen like a streak in the sky that moved too quick or something, something like that. But nothing that just came right up here in front of me. And
right.
It didn't come to a complete stop, but almost. It probably wasn't moving any more than 10, 15 miles an hour at one point. And both of them were running together. They were both about 2,000 feet apart. They came across this area here. And when I looked up at one point, then there was one had gone past me. The other one was right up here. And I felt a little bit like a Pac-Man about to be eaten by the Pac-Man creatures. They were shaped about the same, and they were hovering over me about like this. And it gave me that feeling.
Well, What a great testimony. Salt of the earth people, real people who may or may not be too drunk to fish. But you know what? I would rather hear from them because for the most part, I believe him. For the most part, I do believe people like that. That guy specifically, I do. Absolutely. What do you guys think, though? And what are people's general thoughts about the progeria children theory and, you know, human experimentation, perhaps accelerated genetics to try and achieve something that can do something that's a little beyond human? I think it's an interesting one. We've got about 10 minutes left in this show. I'm going to go through these super chats so we can kind of riff on this conversation now. But we're also going to be live on Twitch straight after the show, or about 5 minutes after this. We're going to go hang out on Twitch, which is just kind of like a little chill and catch up. We might, if you guys want to send some videos in, you can. We can watch them. But we're mostly just going to be hanging out. All right, here we go. Jason Giorgiani is the philosopher of our ilk. I would agree with that, Dave Bryson. I don't always agree with everything he says, but he's certainly a great speaker, and I really enjoy listening to him. But I will say as time has gone on, he has sort of become a little bit more abrupt. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, I still like listening to him though. School of SA says we need an emote for Angry Jason. I'm sure someone screenshotted it. We will get an Angry Jason in the chat. We also need to get, we've got a couple others I need to add. Someone remind me to do that. Cave Rat, what a name, says, for Nazi world domination, it would be much more effective to pretend you lost the war and covertly assume control of the systems already in place. Yeah, I think you're somewhere along the right line of thinking there, for sure. I don't know if it would be as simple as that, but yeah, I think that is the right train of thought. Kelsey, with 8 months, says Giorgiani looks like a skin suit. Marius with 13 says if we had a drink every time the video paused, we'd be hospitalized by now. Yeah, don't do that. I hope no one was playing that game tonight because you will need your stomach pumped. Christabel with 12 months. Krista, thank you very much. The gold badge looks great. She says, woohoo, I look good in orange. Yes, you do. Thank you. I'm glad you made the stream today, actually. Rockdoc. Luftstrom. That's what I remember when I was abducted by your last mum last night. Messed that one up there by putting in last twice, unfortunately. Didn't quite have the punch you probably intended. But thank you for the $5. Hi Vibin with 7 months says, hey Josh, you're in my neighborhood. Any plans while you're here? Stoked you're getting a taste of the Florida life. Thank you for the 7 months, first of all. The Florida life has been great. And honestly, my plans here have been to just chill. To just chill out because it's been a pretty nonstop 2 months. I've been here about 2 months now, and I've not stayed in one place longer than 5 nights. And most places are like 3 or 4. So that's a lot of moving around. And obviously when you go to a new place, you kind of feel like compelled, like, well, I'm here, I've traveled all this way to be here. You know, go out and explore. Like, that's why you're here. That's why you spent money. So you're constantly just doing stuff, and it's like exhausting. And now I'm just chilling out. I'm getting looked after, hanging out with Serp, and life's good. I'm really, even just having this little bit of like temporary stability. I mean, you guys can already probably tell I've been here since Monday. It's Thursday evening now. And since I've been here, I've uploaded a video. I did a stream yesterday and I've streamed today.
Sorry
Sorry
about that commercial. Let me get back to drawing now, huh, folks?
More than I've done in like 2 weeks prior to that. So, you know, it's just having that stability. It's good. It helps me focus for sure. Is Serp a good roommate? He's a fantastic roommate, Beth. He would recommend. Absolutely would recommend. Josh, I'm still trying to see you in San Fran on August the 13th. Yep. Get your tickets. Get your tickets. It's probably nothing. Co-hosting with Chris, San Francisco, LA, and Tucson. It's probably nothing.com. It's going to be a great time. I think the guests are public, so I think I could tell you guys. Do you guys know who the guests are? Have I told you? It's going to be. I'm pretty sure they're confirmed. Don't shoot me if they're not, but I'm pretty sure this is it is confirmed. I'm pretty sure it's John Ramirez, ex-CIA, a reptilian's worst nightmare in Tucson. I believe it's Bashar Daralenka, but actually Bashar, I'm pretty sure he's going to be channeling. He's going to be channeling live. So if you come to LA, you're going to see live channeling from Bashar. That's in LA. And San Francisco, I think, Whitley Strieber. Probe enthusiast. Sorry, that's he's probably, well, I know, actually, I would say enthusiast because, not because of the probing, but because he doesn't want to get his implant taken out of his ear. He says he likes it and he likes being in communication with them. So, enthusiast. Enthusiast. He's here for a good time, not a long time. Josh, I need you to rock metal glasses undercover. Metal glasses. Not, do you mean meta glasses? You mean meta glasses, don't you? Yes. No. As someone who's never really ever worn glasses ever, if I just rocked up in the thickest rimmed glasses of all time, looking like that emoji. Where's that emoji? Do they have the stock emojis here? Where is it? You want me to? No, that's. Yeah, this. I'll look like this guy in the chat. If I just roll in looking like that, people are going to be like, dude, what the fuck are you wearing? Even with the Jonathan Reed mustache too. The Jonathan Reed mustache and meta glasses, people will be like, get the fuck out of here. That'll be wild to be on stage with some of those dudes. Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited. There's lots of things I want to ask John Ramirez, although I'm unsure how open he's going to be. But now, if there's no hiding anymore, Johnny boy. NDAs are waived. NDAs are waived. So we'll be having none of that. We'll be having none of that on stage. No, I'm sure he'll just tell me to get fucked, and that's fine. Because the reality of that whole Trump waiving the NDAs thing is that it's only in still like classified settings where they could always just reclassify what they hear. So, is anything going to come of this? I hope so. I certainly hope so. Josh, are you the honeypot? Yes, Mark. Yes. The guy with a straggly beard and a Buc-ee's hat is the honeypot. Don't get trapped. Don't get trapped too quickly. Is it the Buc-ee's hat that made you think I was a honeypot? You got to ask John Ramirez about the 2027 impending situation. I'm sure that will come up. But I want to ask him questions about the reptilian encounter. For anyone who doesn't know, this is an ex-CIA GS-15 level operator who candidly, nonchalantly, on Chris Ramsey's podcast, probably over a year ago now, or something like that, about a year ago, talked about how a reptilian woke him up in his bedroom one night and he got up and punched it. He gave it the old lizard 1-2 and back to bed, just back to sleep. So I've got a few questions about that. Hopefully I get to ask them. I'm pretty sure I will. Josh, you are a honeypot. Look, I don't think so, given the fact that I'm evidently too retarded to keep a woman around me for longer than like a couple of months. I don't think I'm a very effective honeypot. Actually, probably the opposite. I'm like a repellent. I'm like a bug zapper. I wear mirrored glasses. People are powerless to them. Mirrored glass. Oh, you mean like, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. They're not spy glasses, though. P-Shaw bit me and then went back to sleep. Yeah, well, maybe you're the reptilian in P-Shaw's eyes. How's P-Shaw doing, by the way? Shout out to the cats in the chat. And the dogs. Shout out to all the cats and dogs. Guys, hug your animals. Give your dog or your cat or your bird or whatever the hell you have a bigger hug tonight, because you never know when it could be your last day. And one thing to remember about your animals is that you are their whole life. You are their entire life.
These are cheese toast spell books, and the cookies I cut out in the shape of weapons.
You don't touch a man's keybind.
If you're at work every day, they sit at home waiting for you to get back. And when they get back, when you get back, it's the fucking best part of their day, man. So make them feel good about that. All right. I clearly am missing my dog because I've just gone on a little monologue about animals. But for real, I don't think anyone will regret. No one will ever regret hugging their dog or cat too much. No way. I have a cat sleeping on my shoulder at the moment. Fantastic. I love that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Please slap a like on it if you did. If you want to support me in the stream.
All right, folks, that was a pretty good stream. We did pretty well with this. What do you think about the artwork there, huh? Not bad. Though I could maybe have gotten a little better. Not bad, not bad. Let me get this right here, folks. Do this right here, do this. All right, not bad. Looks pretty good. Not a bad stream, folks. Not a very great one either. I'm so under the weather right now. But I decided to get my stream up today because I didn't do it yesterday, folks. Sorry about that. But not bad. How many people do we have watching right now, folks? Well, let me check. Let's see. Ooh, okay. We have 18, 19 watching, folks. We have 20, 21, 22, 23 people watching, folks. Thank you for making this once again a great live stream, folks. 23 people watching today. But we're now at the end. Let me take a look at this, folks. With this, which is what we did here. Not bad. Pretty good. But we could do better. And I myself could do better, folks. But we're now at the end, huh? So let me get on my normal spiel now. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. There's misspelled. It's THERE. It's Read Comics They're Bad For You. It's supposed to be there, bad for you. Hit the like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that give you all feature notifications. And please share this video out. Now, folks, please go over and subscribe to Dark Saints on YouTube and on BitChute. Then go subscribe to Robot Co-op on YouTube and on Twitch. Then go subscribe to, the Stitched Together Pics up on YouTube. Now, remember, folks, down in the descriptions or in the chat, I left links and stuff like that. I left links to YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch or BitChute, Dark Saints, Robot Co-op, and Stitched Together Pics, okay? Use those links and go subscribe to my channels. Well, the channels I just said, folks. Yeah, use them to go subscribe to the channels I just asked you to go subscribe to them, actually, is what I'm saying. Like Dark Saints or Stitched Together Pics, folks. But I really want you to use those links and go subscribe to my own channels, especially up on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, or BitChute, okay, folks? Because remember, I probably will upload 2 videos today, folks. One video will be up on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and BitChute. Or should I say up on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and BitChute. And the another video, folks, will be up on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and BitChute as an exclusive. Look for these videos, folks. They'll be up after this live stream is over at some point. Either way, folks, remember as well, I'm going to unlist this live stream. You can keep watching this live stream, but remember, once it's unlisted, if you click off of it, there's a good chance you won't be able to get back onto it and stuff like that. That's you get that. But you can use the links down below or in the descriptions to go subscribe to me, up on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, or BitChute, because all my videos, all my live streams are uploaded to that site mostly daily. Now, what else does it say? Yeah. Remember as well, folks, go over to Indiegogo and check out the pre-launch page to my comic book Scumdogs. My campaign is called Scumdogs Second Chance Campaign. go sign up for it. In a few months, I'm actually going to launch the actual campaign, folks, so more people can back my book. I will also do pages for my book up on Fund My Comic Book and Kickstarter, so look for those pages as well. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great live stream, followed by 2 more great videos, so make sure to come back again then. Until then, folks, bye. Yeah.